Hello and welcome to this high-level overview for Gundam Evolutions. I'm really making this because some of my friends have been getting into the game, and it's a little bit confusing with all the characters not being clearly defined as they are in Overwatch. So I'm going to give a prospectus on what each character does, and if you want to know more, I guarantee there are more detailed videos out there for you to look into. I'm just going to go in order of each character in the game and give some details for them. In the end, I'm going to put all the characters into categories as if they were in Overwatch to give a little bit of a grouping for how you should view characters. Also, fair warning, I'm not actually good at the game, so this is just a high-level overview of the characters from my 15 to 20 hours in the game. Also, some high-level things to note about the game. Reloading takes a really long time, and there's no melee to finish anyone off, so if you get someone really low, and you have to reload, you're just a sitting duck for a little bit. You have boost, as you can see in the bottom left. Each character has a different amount of boost, so you can hold shift to run, and that'll use up your boost, and if you have full boost, you can tap shift to quickly dash. You can also use your boost to hover in midair, by holding space. This is only relevant to one character, which I'll mention later. One other thing that makes this game different from Overwatch is that if you down a character and take them to 0 HP, they get put into this knockdown state. Now their allies can get them up in this state, but you can also guarantee finish them off to make sure they can't be revived. It takes a little bit of time, but obviously getting someone back into a fight immediately is pretty helpful if you can do it for your allies. A lot of players won't do this though. So first up is Pale Rider. Pale Rider is comparable to Soldier 76. I'm going to be using some Overwatch comparisons so people have a quick reference. He's kind of the generic Call of Duty kind of character. He, she, it's a robot, what does it matter? So you left click is just a normal assault rifle, deal decent damage, and ADS, right click, same damage, but just a little bit easier to aim. For the E ability for Pale Rider chucks this stun grenade. It kind of slows, it doesn't really deal any damage, and as you can see, it doesn't go very far. You're really only using it to prevent someone from engaging or disengaging on you, maybe between reloads. It has a fairly short cooldown, and there's no problem with just chucking it, but you're not really gaining anything from it. The F is an impact grenade, essentially. Deals a decent amount of damage, has a decent cooldown, and it goes much, much further than the regular stun grenade. Let's see if I can get a... See, it goes pretty far. You can hit really basically as far as you can see, except I completely missed. You can tell I'm really good at the game. And then C is a healing thing. I don't know, pod, repair pod, there we go. It doesn't last for that long, but it does heal a decent amount. And so you really want to chuck this behind cover because enemies can shoot it and destroy it. Pale Rider also has the most generic ultimate in the entire game, which is Hades System, which after a quick startup, you have increased damage by a good amount, and as you can see, much quicker reload times. Doesn't affect ability cooldowns, but if you have a bunch of enemies in a line, this will allow you to tear straight through them. Okay, well, it ran out. If you use it on a bunch of enemies grouped up, it will allow you to just tear straight through them. So, really just kind of almost a ripped kit from Soldier, but that's Pale Rider in a nutshell. Next we have Gundam, which I wish they gave it a better name, but I guess I have to keep it generic. He has a laser beam with a pretty wide spread for what it is. Rapid firing, you're going to start missing a lot. ADS just decreases the target reticle, but you also move a lot slower. His E ability is a shield, which probably makes him the only proper tank in the game. It'll take a set amount of damage until it just goes away. Can't do anything with it while it's up. Essentially, your Reinhardt. His F ability is a knockback, has a quick startup, and then it pushes characters away. What's more important about this is that it knocks characters' shields down. So if another Gundam is standing there with the shield up, and then you press F on it, then you would be able to knock that shield away, and that's 1,000 points of armor just out of the way. Most people in this game are not coordinated enough to hide behind the person with the shield, though, so take that as you will. Gundam's ultimate ability, Gundam, regular Gundam. Oh my god, I can't get over that. Anything. This is the original friggin' thing, and they just call it Gundam? Whatever. Basically, it's May's ult. Chuck a giant grenade with the C at a pretty big radius you can't see because you're on the allies, and then it just really destroys everything there. Really good for area denial. You throw that onto the point, and you're guaranteed to get some kills and push people off. Obviously, I think that's a bigger range than May's as well, and goes through walls. Really annoying to deal with when you see that come up. Now we have the Zaku II ranged, not to be confused with the Zaku II melee. So, Zaku II kind of has a quick dash in, dash out playstyle. Kind of think a little bit like Tracer. His Lewis gun can tear through enemies at close to medium range, but at the same time, for far enemies, you are not really hitting anything. So you really have to dash in and out. He has 3 dashes, so it's pretty easy. And you're going to want to use his E ability. Now his E ability, it doesn't look like it does anything. It makes you completely invulnerable from all damage. The way you would play Zaku II range is you dash in, kill someone with your Lewis gun, smoke grenade, and then dash away. While you're in the smoke grenade, you can't shoot or reload, so you really are dashing in and out exclusively when you're using that. His other ability is just a quick grenade. It's not contact, but it does have big damage and big knockback. Large damage and large knockback. I don't know why I said it like that. It has a quick cooldown, and it can go pretty far. And, you know, if you time it properly, it'll explode in midair, so it is kind of like a contact grenade, but you're not chucking it anywhere near as far as some of the other grenades in this game. And his G ability is unfortunately probably one of the worst in the game, because I really like playing him. It's just this, you have to line it up properly. It's a quick dash forward that deals damage. You have to line it up properly, and as you can see, you barely did half health to these guys, 400 damage each. There are a lot of characters with dashes, and Zaku II is probably the worst in the game. You're not dealing a lot of damage, you're not dealing a lot of knockback, you're not dealing any stun. So it is a little bit unfortunate. Also with a base 800 HP, you're kind of squishy like Tracer. But Zaku II, I would definitely put in the attack category. On some maps, he can be a decent darter between corners on defense, if you can get the right angles. Now we're going to get into Barbatos, and I'm sorry if you're a Barbatos fan, but Barbatos is a very toxic character. Okay, but that's probably unfair. Barbatos is a very polarizing character. I will say, Gundam's evolutions would probably be better than Overwatch 2 if it didn't include its 2 melee characters. Every match I've had that did not include either Barbatos or Zaku II melee, which is the other melee unit, has been extremely fun. The problem is that the melee units are extremely overbalanced as in they're overpowered. So Barbatos has no ranged abilities. His only attack is to swing his mace at you, but as you can see, it is a 4-hit kill with some decent knockback, dealing almost as much damage as Zaku II's ultimate per hit, mind you. That's his regular left click. Now his right click is where things get a little bit toxic. It's a short charge up, but then it swings down, and it knocks you to the ground and stuns you. As you can see, that does 700 damage, has very low cooldown, and if you follow it up with a regular hit, it instantly kills any unit with less than 1000 HP, which I'll calculate it at the end, but I think there's only 3 or 4 units with more than 1000 HP. And his kit is entirely designed to allow him to dash around even more than Genji. So you can see he has three dashes, which makes him extremely mobile. His E ability is a jump. What makes Barbatos so good at getting in and out is that it resets on cooldown, so you charge it up midair, you slam someone down, you kill, and then you can jump right back out, and you have dashes to even get around even more nimbly. Barbatos' F skill, I know they have names, but I'm sorry, I'm just calling them their E and F, whatever. Is this... I missed. Now, what makes Barbatos' F skill extremely good is that if you manage to get someone down with it, you kill someone, you take someone to 0 HP with it, it instantly kills them rather than puts them into the down state, which is extremely good, and then, again, 2 hits, press F, and you have a jump reset. So what makes Barbatos extremely polarizing is that when you're playing Barbatos, he's really fun. You know, you're knocking people down, you're killing, and then you're jumping out, and then you're dashing to the next place, and then you're doing this, and then you're doing that. And that's really annoying to some people, is that the stun and the damage and his ability to get in and out, which makes him really annoying to deal with if you don't have a team. If he knocks you down, you're dead. His ultimate ability is even more close to Genji than humanly possible. He literally takes out a katana. As you can see, he takes a katana, and then he has 3 slashes, which deal a bunch of damage, 700 damage. And then, you know, you can easily follow that up with some of this. Games are basically decided by who has a better Barbatos, and if Barbatos can get into the back line. So if you can figure out how to play him, your team will love you and the enemy team will hate you, and it's just going to be like that. Next we have the Sazabi. The Sazabi is the beefiest unit in the game. He's got 1400 HP, and he's got a shield. So left click, as you can see, is a big target reticle. It's a big shotgun, which absolutely can destroy people if you're hitting it in the right place. You're hitting the head. You can obviously 2-shot people, 3-shot people. Obviously you have to get close to him. And he has a couple of skills to help with this. His E allows him to dash to any ally, has a pretty short cooldown, and this combos with his F ability. His F ability allows him to throw an axe. You can't see my face, but I'm not surprised I missed that, actually. It doesn't have to hit someone for you to dash to it, as you could see. You can just chuck it there, and then... oh, it has to be off cooldown. And then you can dash to it. So he's pretty mobile, he's kind of going all over the place, he's really beefy, but he's also extremely big. You can't see his model here, but he's almost double these units. I think he's pretty dominating. He's a pretty big hitbox. As you can see on the right-hand side of his target reticle, though, he does have a shield. When you hold right-click, this pulls up his shield, and he's allowed to shoot at the same time he has his shield up, which makes him extremely strong and extremely beefy on the front line. That's 2800 damage you're going to have to push through to kill him, which if he's just standing there, you're not getting through. His other ability is really weird. I don't really know why he has it, but If you're ever looking at a screen of enemies and you press C, as you can see, you can track them through the walls. So anyone who comes up into his screen during that 5-second period, he puts like a marker on them and can see them through the walls for a short amount of time. So you kind of want to constantly be throwing that up. You can see kind of where enemies are hiding around corners and whatnot if they disengage. Next is the Methuss. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's been a while since I've seen the show. Methuss is the first true support character and one of the only few. Left click is these pistols, and it deals a decent amount of damage, but most of the time you're kind of far back. And the reason you're kind of far back is because you are a support character that's healing. So your right click doesn't aim down sights, it attaches this healing cable, and actually let's attach it to you. So it heals very slowly. Obviously it's slowing down a little bit, but this is really all you can do. It does allow you to get characters up if it's attached to them remotely.
There. Ready to fight?
So instead of standing here and having to press D, you can stand behind cover and be able to revive them remotely. You have to keep line of sight, and if you go through a wall or something, the line will quickly break. Most of the time your allies don't actually understand this though, and will completely mess up. So you'll be running around, you'll be hiding back here, and you'll be taking shots. If you're able to get good shots with the pistols, you can deal a lot of damage, but otherwise, not really a damage character. I'm going to cover his E ability last because it's a bit weird. His F ability is just a focus shot, deals a bit more damage, trying to secure a kill. It's separate from his ammo count, so you can save it for needing to confirm a kill. And his C ability just chucks down a support turret. Good to just chuck this on the point. Not really dealing a lot of damage, but it can be a little bit of an annoyance to characters, just chipping away at them. It kind of focuses on whatever though, and it goes down in about like 2 or 3 hits of anything, so don't expect a whole lot from it. Now Methuss' E ability, it's this transform ability. So space ascend, S descend. You're really only using it to run away. You can shoot during it with your primary, but it takes away from your ammo count, and you can't really aim during it. It's really short. I mean, you're really just shooting forward, and you don't want to drive it into the enemies like that. I actually don't know how to make this thing stop. Yeah, your turret just stays up forever, I guess. I've never had it stay up this long. You're really using your E to disengage and get to a safe spot, but you can still keep your tether cable on while you're using it. Now, Methuss' ultimate is basically Anya's. It's going to target you if you have the cable on. It lasts a good while, but you know, you chuck this on a Hades, a Pale Rider using Hades, and they're extremely powerful, but if they haven't reloaded, you're wasting a huge chunk of time, so you have to be very careful. That is really annoying. Okay, I need to change. Now we have the GM Sniper. This is just Widowmaker. Oh, okay, if you saw that damage was going all over the place. So GM Sniper, so first thing to note, you can't no-scope. You will never no-scope with this properly. As you can see, you will just shoot straight down. For some reason, they made this impossible to no-scope with. Even if you're point-blank range, okay, well, thanks for disproving my point. Point-blank, even like this range, you're rarely going to be hitting. As you can see, a headshot does 1100 damage, body shot's doing 440, you can 4-shot anyone in the game. Now, abilities are a bit weird. E, you throw this jump pad. You can't really shoot in the air, you can't scope in the air, so it's questionable why the sniper has this. It allows you to get up to some weird locations, and it gets over walls faster, but the game doesn't allow you to be on any walls that it doesn't want you to be on. And see if you, okay, see if I can get up here. Yeah, you can't really stay on top of walls, you'll slide off if it doesn't want you on top of them. So kind of a weird addition to the kit, but it does allow you to get over some walls and get your team over some walls a little bit faster and get on the point a little bit faster, so not terrible to just chuck it down to some place. F is just a rapid fire cannon. You can't get headshots with it, and it's only doing 600 damage max if you hit it. It is laser focused, but you're not really using it at long range, or using it if someone gets close to you, you need to confirm a kill. Because this character is expected to play back, they actually have a pretty good repair ability. C allows you to send a drone to revive someone remotely, and so long as no one actually takes it down and confirms the kill onto the bot here, then actually it'll completely revive them. And as you can see, it has a pretty far range. Considering how far back you'll be as a sniper, that's definitely appreciated. Now ultimate is just Widowmaker's ultimate. Allows your team to see everyone through walls. Can be pretty helpful. It's the same as Widowmaker, so if you think Widowmaker's good, Widowmaker's bad, that's it. Very good defense unit. There aren't very many maps with a good line of sight, but if a defense can take advantage of the ones that do, then it's going to be extremely hard to push. If you're getting hard camped on offense, you can generally have a good sniper switch into this character and then snipe from the spawn or very close to the spawn. Obviously not good at pushing, It rarely ever happens because the GM snipers on my team are always really bad, and the GM snipers on the defense are always really good. This character is absolutely devastating if you can position them properly and defend them, but again, teamwork is not very high in this game so far, and people haven't developed it yet. So when they do, obviously the character will be extremely good. Here we have the Asshimar. Asshimar is probably my favorite character. The E is a transform, I'll cover it at the end. It has a 3-round burst, rifle, big chunky hits. If you hit, you'll be dealing a good amount of damage with it. Right click is a charge shot that then shoots. It does a little more damage than usual. The F is the Ashimar, I don't even know anymore. Asshimar, whatever, is a incendiary grenade. I personally think Asshimar works with the incendiary grenade on offense and defense. You can use it to chuck around corners that you know defenders are camping behind if you're attacking. And if you're defending, you can chuck it into choke points and enemies have a hard time pushing through. It has a pretty big range and enemies staying in it are going to be chunked pretty heavily. And it's pretty low on cooldown, and again, travels pretty far. The E, again, is its transform ability. You can shoot. Generally not the best idea to use it for. However, good about Asshimar is that if you take him all the way up, and then you use your boost, Ashmar's gun has 0 accuracy loss, so shooting from the sky actually is fairly good, if you can use it properly. Otherwise, the enemy team will just focus you down because you're a giant target in the sky. Asshimar, whatever, also has another charge ultimate. As you can see, you're going to charge a short distance and push through. You stun them and knock them back, and you deal more damage than the Zakus, so it's actually pretty good if people are on point. I don't actually know what I would categorize Asshimar, attack or defend. I use them for both. Works fairly decently both ways. The 0 accuracy loss means you're pretty good at long-range engagements. Bullets do have travel time, but either way, I think I would probably put him under attacker. I feel like that's the intended purpose with the fire grenades. Now we have Dom Trooper. Dom Trooper has a missile launcher. You cannot shoot with Dom Trooper in the air. As you can see, that target reticle goes everywhere, but Dom Trooper does have a pretty good accuracy if you're on the ground. It deals a decent amount of damage with a decent amount of splash. As you can see, if you just shoot next to someone, you're going to be doing a good chunk of damage. His right click is actually a focus fire laser, which not dealing a lot of damage, but if you're just skirting around, you want to confirm a kill. Okay, I accidentally confirmed that kill. If you're shooting and then you want to confirm a kill, it's pretty good for doing that. Here, I'm going to let go of my W here, and you see he keeps kind of gliding, so he kind of takes a little bit of getting used to, but I like how he feels. Dom Trooper's F, you throw a landmine. Doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. Has a little bit of a radius. His C is a weird support ability where you chuck extra health onto an ally. As you can see, it decays. It's about 150. You want to throw this onto someone either right before an engagement or in the middle of an engagement. It has a 10-second cooldown, so there's no harm in just chucking it on someone. Rarely ever saves a life, but, why not? Now, Dom Trooper also has another charge ultimate, which does knockback. It drops shields, which is pretty helpful if the team is shield heavy, and it goes for a pretty far distance as compared to most of them. You can actually confirm kills with it because it lasts a long time. It's probably the best of the charge ultimates, and it deflects bullets back, so you are fairly strong when using it. Now I'm going to shout out my boy here and talk about the 2 different ways that I found you can play Dom Trooper. But you can play Dom as a support and, go on the point and chuck your landmines down, shoot through some holes to get some chip damage onto the guys hiding around corners, use your laser to confirm kills, top up your boys when they need help. And then there's I'm going to lovingly refer to it as brain dead Dom, because what you do, as the landmines are armed on throw, you throw, you shoot, you throw, you shoot, and then you laser. I missed out that one. To deal a bunch of damage at once. And you play super hyper aggressive all up in their face like that. It generally tends to work. If you play Dom like that, he's a pretty good offensive unit with a little bit of supporting capabilities. If you, want to actually protect the point, he's a pretty good support as well. Not a whole lot of health giving in this game, so Dom C is pretty helpful, even if it's only a little bit. Now we have turn A Gundam. Turn A, just quick laser shots. The longer you hold it, the bigger reticle is going to get, so you're going to want to time your shots. If you pace your shots, not going to get much bigger, and you have laser point accuracy, so you can fight from really far back. As you can see, extremely long reload time though. Right click starts to charge up your shots. You move a lot slower when you're right clicking and aiming down sight. And when you fire, it does more damage. And at full charge, it pierces through enemies. It does take 2 ammo per shot, and obviously with the long reload time, you're going to want to be careful that you're actually hitting these. Now, Turn A only has 2 abilities, the first of which is just a self-heal. As you can see, you press E, and you have a slight heal over time. Not that big, but you chuck it onto you when you're going into an engagement, and you'll survive a little bit more. Now, Turn A Gundam's F is a grapple, and you have to be pretty close to activate it. which doesn't make sense considering it's a long-range fighter character, it seems like. So as a wind-up time grab and you throw behind, they're stunned for a little bit when they land behind you. You can kind of take advantage of it, but you throw someone pushed up too far into your team behind you, and that's going to basically be a confirmed kill. It's one of the only counters I've seen for Barbatos. Barbatos comes onto you, you activate this, you grab them, and chuck them behind you. That's if you don't get stunned immediately. As you can see, you have to be fairly close, and then there's a big window at the end if you miss, where you're vulnerable. You have to make sure you're hitting that, and you're not immune when you're actually grappling someone. Turn A's ultimate is this weird flying ability. You fly around and you just drop space dust onto everyone below you. Deals a decent amount of damage, though you can still take damage while you're using it. Though at the speed you're moving, you're generally not being hit. Now we have Guntank. Now I love Guntank in the show and this game. So as you can see, Guntank's target reticle is very different. Anyone in range is going to have a second reticle put on them, and you're going to deal damage to them basically at the same time. You're not dealing a whole lot of damage. You're almost more of a support unit with the amount of damage you're putting out. It's hit scan, so you're guaranteed hitting these people. If you right-click, you can focus fire on one person, you shoot a little bit faster, and you deal a little more damage. Any character competent is going to probably kill you very quickly if you're pushed up too far. There is a range, though, as you can see. Fairly long. Yeah, out of range, but if you focus fire, you can shoot it much further. You have infinite ammo, but as you can see, the heat builds up on the side, and that can overheat. Guntank's E ability is this kind of charge. You can also use it to hit people away. It doesn't deal a whole lot of damage, but if someone's on you, you can either decide to push them away, or you can use it to, you can try and run away with it. His F is just a big, slow shot. Good amount of damage, decent amount of splash. If you throw it onto some corners that you're holding, you'll probably hit one or two people. And the Guntank's V, probably one of the most out-of-place skills, I think. Every so often, you can hold V. As you can see, that was a lot faster than normal, and then it goes on cooldown. G maneuver, whatever. Ultimate, Guntank's ultimate is basically Roadhog's. Fire this projectile, and then you can explode it. Deals a lot of damage that'll one-shot anyone in the game, or at least put them into a down state. Problem with this is that you're completely vulnerable while you're using it, just like Junkrat. But yeah, pretty good defensive unit, much harder to use offensively, though you can, harder to get into position, and harder to push. Though defensively, you're holding corners and whatnot, you're firing these shots, pretty good. And then we have the last of the free units, we have GM. GM is probably the best support unit, best all-around unit overall. So left click, we just have a laser accurate gun, laser rifle might be a better way to say it. So deals a decent amount of damage. I don't know how that's reloading though. Right click, you pull up a shield, and you're able to actually fire from behind the shield, which makes it really good. If you're fighting anyone else 1v1 and you can hit your shots, you're going to be probably winning any engagement, because you're going to have a total of 21,000 health. So as you can see, you block, you're hitting your shots, and then kill them before they even get through your shield. One thing of note is that you can't reload with your shield up. Your E is a very weird ability. You have a charge and then knockback. I rarely ever use this ability. It doesn't really deal damage, but if people are choking up on you on the point or something, it can be helpful. F is basically another Junkrat ability. You throw out a C4 charge, press it, and after a short delay, you do a ton of fire damage. Doesn't last as long as the Asshimar, but can be used to choke out a point, though enemies can shoot and destroy this projectile thing before you use it. One other thing of note is that you can also be hurt by your fire damage skills. The Asshimar and the GM can be hurt by their own fire skills. Can't hurt their teammates, but they can hurt themselves. The C ability is a heal. It does a good amount of healing over a short period of time. It's a short burst of healing, kind of like Anya's, I don't remember ability, I think it's her E, where she chucks a healing grenade down, and it heals for a short period, but a good amount over that short period. GM's Q is very situational. It's very good for support, not very good for offense. After a short period, you throw these mines up, and they will go and they will charge enemies. It deals 2,000 damage total, so you're killing 1 or 2 enemies. But also those mines can be shot down from a distance, and the enemies will see the health bars on them and they can shoot them. And so if you chuck that on the point when the enemies are trying to push on, it's very annoying, but offensively it's kind of hard to use unless you kind of run up into the enemies, you E, and then you throw the Q. You're very vulnerable while you do so. So locked units you can't even test unless you've paid for them, which I think is kind of silly, but there are plenty of videos out there talking about whether or not you should pay for them, and I'm going to talk quickly about my experiences with them in-game. The Mushari, press F1, you can see the abilities. It is a sniping unit that's generally not as good as the GM, as far as I can tell. The GM sniper generally tends to do more damage and works much better as like a sniper. This is almost more of a rifle rather than a sniper. His abilities are kind of a grabbing ability, which I've only really ever been hit by once or twice. It'll pull you in if you're too far pushed up, and then you're kind of screwed. But it seems pretty hard to hit, or very situational. This is definitely seems to be the least popular of the paid for characters. Gundam Exia, one of the only other characters that can one-shot you, like the Barbatos. I don't really understand how the character works. They're supposed to be extremely difficult, and all that seems to happen is that they will melee you, they will throw daggers, and you can't really keep track of what's going on. Their kit is extremely complex, combination of melee and not melee, but the melee is not as oppressive, but generally he seems to just sit back and throw daggers from all the players I've seen, but they're generally not good players, so take that as you will. There's definitely a video probably explaining how to play him that you should watch. That goes to all the Exia players that I play with. Then we have the Mahiroo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The Mahiroo is basically Demo Man. That's really all you have to know. I've never actually gotten close enough to this character to see them use anything. Every Mahiroo I've seen just kind of chucks grenades like Demo Man and then dies at a distance. They've never seemed to influence the outcome of the game, and they've always seemed to die. I've seen this character played a good bit, but they don't seem to be very effective. And all the skills seem to be just chucking grenades and firing cannon firing, kicks, sensing people through, but only you can see it. His ultimate just fires more grenades. He just seems like a character designed to add chaos, and I guess he does that, but it's not a Demo Man level of oppressiveness. Then we have the Zaku II melee, which is the other character like Barbatos that is extremely tilting to play against. He's not as oppressive as Barbatos because he can't stun you, but he has this, survive. Basically, if you know Master Yi from League of Legends, he meditates. He just meditates, he can't take damage, and he fills up this rage meter, and then after he meditates and he fills up his rage meter, he can activate Rage Meter, which allows him to gain armor and deal more damage. His melee axe swings can pierce units and deal more damage. Very annoying to deal with. Honestly, if you ask me, terribly designed. His kit is over full. If he gets onto your back line is gone. If your front line tries to engage with him, they're going to be chewed up by everyone else on the other team because they're going to focus fire on this guy. He's not extremely hard to play as far as I can see, and he's definitely probably the best of the paid units. And then we have Unicorn Gundam Unicorn, whatever you want to call him. Gundam Unicorn is the only one with a passive, which is basically Lucio's heal everyone around you passive. His skills are very support heavy. The healing can be pretty nice on his passive. He can give a lot of temporary health to allies, but he doesn't really seem to do a lot of damage. His ultimate is pretty oppressive though. He fires this giant sniper, which has this big cone that you can see for half a second before it shoots, and it deals a lot of damage. And he can weave in and out of where he's shooting it from. Probably the best support unit after GM, but of course he's locked behind a paywall. Your locked units, it's going to take a really long time to unlock these if you're not willing to pay. So if you want to do that and play them, the game is free, that's up to you. Here's how I put them in the attack, defense, support. Obviously, there's no meta for anything right now, just play whatever you want, but this is how I would put them for new people coming in to just kind of quickly understand exactly what each character is and what they do. Other than that, I'd highly recommend this game. It's not made by Blizzard, and it's not going to be Overwatch 1.5, so long as this game gets regular updates, I will probably continue playing it in some capacity. As long as my friends play it, you get a couple of guys in there, who cares if you win or lose. So thank you. I hope I don't run into you into the battlefield, because you'll probably kick my ass, and then I'll get really sad. Good luck. Quack.